Today, I'm going to give you a breakdown of the pros and cons of living in Spokane, Washington in 2023. I'm really excited to jump into this video with you as we've had a lot of changes and I need to make an update from the last time I talked about this. And if you're brand new to the channel, I'm Hayden, a realtor here in Spokane, Washington that specializes in helping people buy, sell, and invest in real estate. If you're watching this video and thinking about relocating to the area or just have questions about real estate and Spokane in general, head down to the description where there's a link that allows you to schedule an appointment directly on my calendar at a time that's convenient for you. I'm helping tons of people from all over the country make the move to Spokane right now and hope you'll be the next one. With that said, let's jump into the video and check out some of the pros of living here in Spokane. So first off, living here in Spokane and Eastern Washington specifically gives you an absolutely amazing environment to live in. The outdoor activities that we have access to in our area are some of the best, and I feel like they're still slightly undiscovered from the rest of the world. And if you live in or around Spokane, you are within a 30 to 60 minute drive of any outdoor activity that you could think of. We have 76 lakes within an hour drive. We have Mount Spokane right in our backyard, but access to a half a dozen ski resorts within a 2-hour drive and dozens of locations around Spokane for hiking, mountain biking, climbing, really anything. We've had quite a bit of snow this year, which has made a great ski season. And even though I'm not a skier myself, many of my clients and friends are making it up to the mountain at least once a week, if not a few times a week. So if you're into the outdoors, Spokane is a great place to do so. I think many people who have that high on their priority list might think Denver or Salt Lake as the best places for that, but those places are crowded when you get to the mountain. And so Spokane still has quite a bit of growing to do before we get to that size, and so our lines are a lot shorter. This leads me right into my second point, which is the weather here in Spokane. Overall, it is very mild here in Spokane, but you get access to all 4 seasons. We get hot summers, but nothing brutal like Las Vegas or Phoenix, and we get cold winters, but nothing like Montana or upstate New York. We just ride the line of comfortability, so on average, in the winters, it gets down to about 26 degrees, and in the summer, it gets up to like 88 degrees with a few extremes on either end each year. We get a healthy amount of snow and rainfall each year with 44 inches and 17 inches respectively. But the biggest thing to know is you will just end up having to have multiple wardrobes here in Spokane for those different seasons. I would say Denver is a city where you can have 2 major extremes in one day, from blizzards to beautiful blue skies, and Spokane is probably like 60 to 70% as extreme as they are. Overall, Spokane is also very dry and not super windy, so the cold isn't nearly as bad as like a really humid place like New York or Chicago, or a really windy place like Missoula, Montana, where the wind just drives the cold into you, and I'm speaking from experience on that one. Next up, Spokane and Washington in general are great places for businesses. According to CNBC, Washington ranked as the second best place for business owners, especially those businesses that have a focus in the science, technology, engineering, or mathematics fields. The cost of doing business is ranked 33 out of 50 states just due to the cost of living, mostly over into the Seattle area, and that's why we've seen a rapid growth in technology companies moving to Spokane, because they get the best of both worlds, a state where there's no individual or company income tax while also living in an affordable city. Our population growth in Washington is currently at 1.26% and Spokane is at 1.1%, so there's a lot of positive growth here. So if you're somebody that runs your own business or you're self-employed like me, there can be a lot of advantages here for you. So let's talk about the house prices, but make sure to stick around because we're going to get to the cons here soon. You don't want to miss those. Over the last 7 to 8 months, as you can see by this graph, and actually year over year, we have now seen a negative change in home values. So anyone that bought at this exact same time last year is down nearly 4%, but people that bought at the peak are down about 15%. We've had 7 straight months of price declines, and I will make a market update video next week when the January numbers come out so we can see if we've bounced off the bottom or if prices continue to go down. So make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you get notified when that comes out. My predictions for the market right now is that we will bounce up here in the late winter and early spring as mortgage applications have been up 25% for the last few weeks in a row, and more people are getting used to the fact that their interest rate is just going to be 6%. And beyond that, it is hard to say, but we are in a very nervous environment right now. So any bad news from the government in terms of inflation will cause rates to go back up and kill demand. So it could be an interesting summer. I'll do my best to keep you as updated as I can while you're making your move here. Compared to other major cities or even other parts of Washington, we are still a relatively affordable market. You can buy a livable 3-bed, 2-bath resale home here for $350,000. You can get into new construction from about $450,000 to $650,000. And if you're moving here with big city money, then you can find the dream home on 10 plus acres for less than $1 million, when that could easily be 3 times as much in your market. When you're relocating to Spokane from one of these major cities, most people realize how much further their dollar goes, which allows them to either live their big dreams and go for the big house, or they can live in a very nice house for a fraction of what it would cost them and then invest that money somewhere else. This same thing also applies to the rental prices. Currently, we've seen rent prices come down 10% from their peak and has led to only a 0.3% growth from this time last year, which is 3% lower than the national average. Rents went crazy high along with the housing market because there was a level of desperation in the rental market earlier this year. And to be completely honest, renting a home is a cheaper option than owning a home in today's market if you're considering your out-of-pocket costs. The median rent for a 3-bed, 2-bath house is about $2,000 a month right now, and the median home price for the same house is about $425,000, which would lead you to a payment of about $3,000 a month with a 5% down payment. Now, of course, you're not building any equity or getting any of the tax benefits when you rent, and your money is going solely to your landlord instead of your home that acts more like a piggy bank. But if you're looking at specifically what is your out-of-pocket expense, renting is still cheaper, so that could be something to consider depending on your situation and your goals. Now let's move on to talking about some of the cons that you should know about. The first con that I want to mention is going back to some of the weather that I was talking about earlier. Even though it is very moderate here, there are a couple things that you should know about. The first is that fire season is very real here. Now, if you're from anywhere on the West Coast, you know what I mean, but the smoke can get pretty bad here in Spokane. We honestly don't get many crazy fires right here, like in Spokane County. We get some, but we get the smoke from the massive Montana fires, the Canadian fires, and the California fires that all find their way into our little valley. This past summer wasn't too bad, but the summer before it looked like Armageddon. It was pretty tough to go outside, even for me, and I don't suffer from asthma or any respiratory issues. So just be ready for that to happen every few years. And talking about blocking out the sun, we only experience sunny days here in Spokane 46% of the year. That's right, we get about 171 days of sunshine here in Spokane, and we're actually ranked as the 7th gloomiest city in all of the US. So I, like most other people here, are vitamin D deficient. We take our supplements, but you'll notice how many people in their 50s, 60s, and up have second homes down in Arizona and make the trip down there in the winter. I have one friend that flies down there nearly every weekend. So if you do move here, you find yourself needing that second home, I have some great realtor partners down there that I can hook you up with. Now, one thing I think people believe is a con here in Spokane, but I want to debunk it a little bit, is that there isn't a nightlife here. Now, if you're moving from LA or Seattle, it might seem bleak, but to be honest, there's something going on that you can be a part of almost every night of the week. There's a place where you can go see live music every day. The food scene is really legit here. There's a lot of cool bars like Hogwash Whiskey Den, Bistango Martini Lounge, and Lucky You Lounge, to name a few. And so I think if you're not looking or expecting to get something that you would get in a big city, then I know you won't be bored here and you'll find something to do. And then alongside entertainment, I also want to talk about sports for you sports fans out there. Spokane loves our minor league teams. We have the Spokane Indians for baseball, the Chiefs for hockey, and yes, hockey is a beloved sport here. And we will have a professional soccer team here soon, if that's something you're into. But we are most notably known for our college basketball team, the Gonzaga Bulldogs, but you have to know somebody to get tickets because every seat in the McCarthy Athletic Center is held by a season ticket owner, and there's a waiting list. So the awesome thing is that once you do get in, though, it's like no other basketball game you've been to. We have one of the largest student sections across the country. It literally takes up half of the stadium. And so when you're in there, the energy is absolutely insane. But if you like watching live professional sports, just know if you want the pros, you have to drive to Seattle. But if you're okay with a good game from a minor league team, then there's a lot of games to attend throughout the year. And then alongside needing to travel to go do things, traveling in the inland Northwest isn't the best. And what I mean by that is that if you live in the Midwest or the East Coast, you can be in the next major city within an hour or two. It's nothing to go from Chicago to Indianapolis or New York to New Jersey. But on this side of the country, it's generally a 4 to 5 hour minimum to the next major city. That's what it takes to get to Seattle. But if you want to go to Portland or Boise, that's 8 hours. And then the next biggest city is Salt Lake, and that's a 12-hour drive. So it's not a big deal if you plan to fly all the time. Our airport's small and easy to navigate. But if you like having the convenience of jumping in the car and going to the next city over the weekend, then that might be something to consider. And then relating back to one of our other pros, that Spokane and Washington in general are great places for businesses, I wanted to mention that our unemployment rate is actually pretty high right now. We're sitting at 5.5% for Spokane and 4.2% for the state, when the average for the United States is 3.5%. One of our highest rankings on that CNBC chart was how strong our workforce is, and that's measured by the number of people moving here with high levels of education, which makes sense as to why we're a great place for the STEM type jobs. But now with massive layoffs in the tech industry and the lull in the economy that has caused some employers to not be hiring as much, we've sat pretty high on the unemployment rate. So that's what I have for you today. If you are thinking about making the move to Spokane, I'm helping dozens of people just like you make the move and would love to help you too. Schedule a meeting on my calendar at the link below, subscribe, hit the like button, and I'll see you in the next video.